Good morning.
All right, y'all now.
Oh, well, hello, Carol.
Okay.
Hi.
All righty.
Welcome to the SLC Sunday Experience. We're so glad you're here. Your soul is in the right place at the right time. We're going to sing about that.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. Why don't you turn around and say hello to all the people, lovely people at home watching. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. 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 My soul is welcome. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome
Cha-cha-cha.
Oh,
And I hope you noticed that Russell's guitar matches the color theme of the day. And so just as Russell's guitar is in alignment and welcome here, so too are you. You are so welcome to be in this community with us today, this beautiful mission-centric spiritual community that we call home, Spiritual Life Center. And we want to welcome you in the name of all that is beautiful, and all that is family, and all that is sacred. And we honor today all of those brothers and sisters that are worshiping in temples, stone circles, churches, mosques, anywhere that there are two or more gathered. Actually, anywhere, one or more. It's one or more. Wherever we are, that beautiful source is. And to not interrupt our service, let's have all the ringing sources silenced.
The ringing sources silenced. That was done very well.
Thank you.
And there's a lot of times people will ask, that church you're going to, what do they teach? And then you're going, I know it, but I can't really articulate it, right? So we're practicing every week and the 5 unity principles, and so that not only will you be able to share the information with others, it will help you embody it. So let's say our 5 principles together. God is absolute good and everywhere present. People are inherently good. Thoughts create our experiences. Prayer and meditation are how we connect with God, and we must take action. And we have a special song, Paula.
We do have a special song, and this song is for Memorial Day. And I just wanted to share a story with you, and I'm guessing that several of you, how many of you have visited Pearl Harbor? A lot of people. I just did in April, and it was a very sobering and solemn experience, hearing all those stories, seeing all those memorials and mementos and everything. And the story that brought me to tears was about the USS Arizona and the over 1,100 seamen that went down with that ship and were buried at sea. They did not bring them. They decided it would be not dignified to try to bring them out of that place and bury them. So they are buried there at sea. And the part that brought me to tears was, and I'll try to say it without going to tears now, the story of the oil leak, the small oil leak that is there, and that it's been leaking ever since, and they call it the Black Tears. And they say that until all of the survivors will return, that it will continue to leak. And up to the date, we were there in April, 60 veterans who have passed away have gone to be buried with their seamates. And I did a little research, and I found out that there are now only 5 left. And one of them actually lives in Grass Valley. And they're all in their 90s now. And this past year was the first year that no survivors were at the memorial service at the actual site. So, wow, that's pretty amazing. And in my ever-constant search for songs, I came across this song written by India Ari, and I asked Louise to share it with us today as our opening prayer.
Somewhere there's a mother crying in her hands, praying for a son who's fighting in the sand. Somewhere there's a boy who's in a danger zone, fighting to ensure his mother's safe at home. And oh, say, can you see that all freedom isn't free? Thank you for doing what you did to make sure that we have the right to live the way we choose. Someone made a sacrifice, gave their own to save a life. Thank you for doing what you do, what you do, what you do, what you do. Somewhere there's a father thinking of his child. He couldn't be more sacrifice, gave their own to save a life. And know that we are praying and praying for you every day. And know that we remember we are standing here to say, oh, thank you to all that you do. Oh, we thank you. Just know that we thank you. Oh, thank you to you. Our gratitude is true, so we thank you. Thank you.
And Paula knocks it out of the park with her selection, and Laurie, beautiful job. Beautiful. So every once in a while in our lives, we meet someone, and we run across someone who changes our life. And that is the case for our guest speaker today. I ran across her in my life, and she changed my life. And I want to tell you a little bit about Teresa Campos and who she isn't. She is not an ordinary woman. She is a dedicated spiritual warrior with physical and spiritual clout. Teresa is a transformational individual speaker, author, teacher, coach, and multiple Ironman finisher. Teresa is a teacher for these times. Please give a warm SLC welcome for Teresa Campos. And not only do you get to enjoy her here now, but she will be teaching a class, Redesigning Your Life, as part of our Legacy Living series. It starts on Monday, June 3rd. Is that Monday or Tuesday? I'm just kind of mixed up with my dates, so excuse me. So starting in June for 3 weeks. Don't miss the opportunity to learn from such an illumined soul. Okay. And we also want to thank our facilities committee. We want to thank all of those volunteers who came in and scrubbed these walls. And if you'll notice how vibrant and clean they are, they've been painted. We want to thank also our team of Leslie Leggio and Gil Wright for really choosing the colors and getting it all painted just so expertly. Isn't it a happy place?
And I believe that there was a string of people who went through and looked at the paint samples, and they somehow actually, in this place, came to a consensus of what color. So thank you for that as well. So this coming Wednesday is a 5th Wednesday in our WOW program, and it's a very special program. Matt the Nudie is going to be here, and we have, I believe, a video that will tell you everything.
Matt the Nudie on the road. I'm in Ely, Nevada right now at an Airbnb. I've been performing all around the country, and I'm slowly working my way back to Sacramento. I was the artist in resident of the Everglades for the month of March. I've got some amazing stories to tell and some beautiful music to perform, and really a highlight for me is going to be coming back to the Spiritual Light Center in Sacramento on Wednesday, May 29th. Hope you all can make it. It's going to be an amazing night of music with these instruments, and also with the electronic valve instrument, which is a amazing 8-octave range wind synthesizer that I create cinematic effects and amazing kind of jazzy stuff. You'll love it. And also, well, the Hungs, of course. Just music of the heart, music of the soul. Music to bring joy into your life. Look forward to seeing you on Wednesday, May the 29th. All the best.
And there will be, of course, a salad at 6, and the concert starts at 7.
I think the salad's going to be
Is it 6?
cinematic.
Cinematic
salad.
Cinematic salad. We're being alliterative up here today.
We are. Well, he's such a great musician, and his vibe really has a healing tone to it, so you won't want to miss that.
So I believe that James and Elaine have a very special announcement to make.
I guess Elaine, oh, there she is. All right. Well, somebody said that no matter what you go through in life, there will be changes, even though I've tried to stop it many, many times. We're going to have some changes in our staff, and I want to acknowledge a couple of people that have been doing some phenomenal work at Spiritual Life Center. I'm going to start out with Claire Kinsley, yes. Claire's retiring, but she'll still be around, and you probably see her sometimes in the courtyard collecting money for the workshops and the seminars and the classes that are taking place. And when you come to the classes, she's the one that checks you in and makes sure everything is taken care of. But I mentioned earlier in the earlier service that oftentimes I would go to Claire and ask her about spiritual books or any kind of books and say, Claire, do you know this particular book? And she'll say yes. Is it a good book? She'll say yes. And if she says yes, then I will get the book and read it. So she's a magnificent truth student that I turn to often for my own guidance, and she does a wonderful job in so many different ways.
She's right on your socks.
Oh, yeah, she got colorful socks today, too. She's kind of like, I got mine, she got hers. So, and now I also acknowledge Louise. I think I'm getting a little emotional as well with all of this. You know, Louise, gosh, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, you know, when Louise is here, she's like one of the people that when you call, even if you don't know anything about Spiritual Life Center, there's something that comes through her voice that is like a smile and a welcoming that lets you know the character of not only of you, but also our community. And I often turn to you when I want to know anything that's happened with anyone years ago. I said, do you know so-and-so? She said, yes, they came here on this particular day. I could tell you what the day was like, how long they've been around, what they're doing now. So she has all that institutional knowledge that she brings to Spiritual Life Center, but also just the consciousness that you are and bring. So I say this, that as I say in Hotel California, you can check out, but you can never leave. So both Claire and Louise will still be around supporting our community. And I think just to acknowledge them in any way that she's supported you directly or indirectly, that is Claire and Louise, we'd like to give them a special blessing this morning. So I invite you to stand, and we can acknowledge these wonderful spirits that have done so much for the community and beyond. So let's just send that energy to them now. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we see God's love as you. Thank you to the both of you. We'll see you around. They'll be here.
And now give the mic back to me. So we want to introduce you to some people that are very important in this community. We're all important, but these people, we want you to know who they are. Will our ambassadors, our prayer chaplains, and our board please stand? Those ambassadors wear that rainbow ribbon, and they are a symbol that they are here to answer questions for how you can get connected here at Spiritual Life Center. Our chaplains wear those white stoles, and those white stoles are a symbol. They're a symbol of the confidential, beautiful prayer that our chaplains hold for this entire community. Whether you are celebrating or you're having a challenge, please see them in the back of the sanctuary or across the courtyard for prayer today. And our board, they wear a purple ribbon on their name tag, and they are the captains of this ship. And they steer and guide us and keep us afloat in beautiful ways. And we thank you, board, for your service.
And if you're here for the very first time today, in a moment we're going to ask you to raise your hand. But right now we just want you to know that there are many, many ways where you can be connected here at SLC. And so the ushers will be giving you a card that you can fill out, and you can put it in the offering basket or take it right outside around the corner to the welcome table, and they have a special gift for you. So if you're here for the very first time, please raise your hand and keep it up. Okay, so we are offering you a purple ribbon, and we ask that you wear this on your left shoulder near your heart so that we can greet you and offer you a heartfelt and warm SLC welcome. And we're so thrilled to have everyone with us today. And let's greet each other, stand and greet each other and our newcomers, and let's say, I'm so glad you're here.
It's all good. All God. All good, holy, holy. All good, holy, holy. All in my mind, in my heart, in my soul. Let me know all is good, holy, holy. All love,
So we have taken up the practice of the cue process. Whoa! Hello, strings. It was very exciting in the first service. The keyboard, the regular keyboard went out, and we did a quick change. So I'm playing a keyboard I haven't played for about 6 years. Getting used. We're getting friendly again. So, as I was saying, we have been speaking together our community cue, shadow and light. Trigger points and beautiful, magnificent things we acknowledge and affirm that we have come here to be. So let us speak these together. Please have compassion for us when we are being not enough, distrusting, grieving, blaming, powerless, and fearful, because this is who we have come here to be, inspired, in integrity, joy-filled, compassionate, unstoppable, generous, and transformational. And we unfold all these beautiful qualities of shadow and light into our vision statement. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions. Weaving ancient spiritual tradition with emerging wisdom, we cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet. And now let's sing this beautiful chant as we affirm joy and peace in our hearts.
Joy and peace in my heart, always I feel joy and peace in my life, God within revealed joy and peace in my life. I am healed. Joy and peace in my heart, always I feel joy and peace in my mind, God within revealed joy and peace in my life. I am healed. Joy and peace in my heart, always I feel joy and peace in my mind, God within revealed joy and peace in my life. I am healed. I am healed. I am healed.
With peace in my heart, I am healed. Breathing in to that place of deep connection, that place of peace. Remembering we are all one. This Memorial Day weekend, we honor our brothers and sisters who
who lost their lives in the name of freedom. While we pray that there is no need for war, war goes on. Our soldiers step up to stand for human rights, releasing any resentment, judgment, or doubt. We take a moment of silence as we honor those who gave all. As you listen to the bells chime, we feel the angels sending love from above, offering a prayer for joy and peace in our lives. And as we bring these angels into our meditation, we send love around the world. And know that the greatest honor we can give is to live our lives to the fullest. So we settle into this moment, going deeper within, turning our attention inwards, and breathing into your precious heart space, being present with your divine self. We open to all that is. We open to a world of peace, knowing our inner is reflected in the outer. It begins with us. We are the instruments of peace. We are the answers to our prayers. When we show up in love, our differences dissolve, embracing our higher self. We see through the lens of compassion and offer forgiveness, especially to ourselves. We offer grace instead of judgment, becoming curious and intrigued. We learn more about each other. Generous in spirit, we give freely without expectation, offering help and sharing our smiles. We nurture ourselves and our dear Mother Earth. We are the peacemakers in this world, sharing the light of love. We take some time now in the silence to explore how we can express peace in our world. It is through our hearts and our actions that we change the world. As God's love knows no bounds, we also send love where it is needed most. Celebrating our freedom, we embrace a new era of being, and so it is.
We are like children, we're painted on canvases, picking up shades as we go. We start off with gesso, brushed on by people we know. Watch your technique as you go. Step back and admire my view. Can I use the colors I choose? Do I have some say what you use? Can I get some green and some blues? We're made by the pigment of paint that is put upon. Our stories are told by our hues. Like Motley and Bearden, these masters of peace and life, layers of colors and time. Step back and admire my view. Can I use the colors that I choose? Do I have some say what you use? Can I get some greens and some blues? We are like children. We are like children. Like children, we're painted on canvases, picking up shades as we go. We start off with gesso, brush on by people we know. Watch your technique as you go. Step back and admire my view. Can I use the colors that I choose? Can I have some say what you use? Can I get some greens and some blues? We're made by the pigment of paint that is put upon. Our stories are told by our hues. Like Motley and Bearden, these masters of peace and life, layers of colors and time. Step back and admire my view. Can I use the colors that I choose? Do I have some say what you use? Can I get some greens we fall down, and we get up, and we start all over. Hey, we start all over again. We fall down, and we get up, and we fall down, and then we fall down, and we get up, and we fall down. But we get up, we fall down, we get up, and we fall down, and we get up. We're like children, we start all over again. Yeah. Thank you, band.
Carol Manson.
All right, lots of soul in the house today. And this is my second service, so I'm really full of soul. It's really wonderful to be here. So earlier this week, I came across a podcast that caught my attention. And it was a story of a man who authored and created a program called Radical Responsibility. And this program, Radical Responsibility, was about how he was teaching people, going into corporations and businesses and teaching people how to work and deal and be responsible for their victim archetype. And I found this podcast very interesting and fascinating. But what really captured my attention about this story of this man was when I heard his bio. And this man had been incarcerated for 14 years in federal prison for drug trafficking. And while he was in prison, he decided that he needed to change who he was being in life. And he needed to do that because he did not want to leave the legacy of how he had been living to his 9-year-old son. And what is so fascinating about this story is that I knew that when I heard this, that this was going to help me to deliver the message that I'm going to give today. So I really didn't listen to much of the podcast because I already had what I needed. And to quote a dear friend of mine, Kathleen Hassan, we are one nation under pressure. And we are struggling to be one nation under God. We are not in alignment, and our values are not clear. And one may think, we may think, you may think that the pressure's out there, but the pressure's in here, because we are the people. We are in a bit of an identity crisis, wouldn't you say? We're struggling to find our way forward and not quite sure how it's all going to turn out. This is a turning point for us. So I want to share an experience with you, one of my experiences. And it was my turning point in my life, one of my major turning points in my life. And this happened when I was 31, but prior to that, of me turning 31 in that time period of my life, I had been living and working and doing my life in a way that, everything felt like it was great, because it basically was. But I did have this inner knowing inside of me that there was something that wasn't quite right about my life. And I was asking myself just some questions, nothing too profound yet for myself. But I was just curious, like, oh, wow, so this is how life is. You get married and you have children and you do your thing and you continue. And, but there's still kind of this thing that was missing inside for me. So it wasn't until during that 31-year period of mine that the discovery of my mother having ovarian cancer happened. And when that happened, that changed everything for me, because that kind of woke me up out of the sleep that I had been in, that I hadn't even realized to the degree that I was in. And I started to ask some very profound questions of myself. Having gone 12 years to Catholic school, I still couldn't answer the question if there was a God. What is the meaning of my life? What is the meaning of of life itself. And what am I here to do? What is my purpose? And so that took me on a road, and that became my spiritual awakening. And I share this story because it's an archetypal theme for all of us. We all can relate to this in some way, whether it's a major crisis or it's small things that happen in our life, or it's just turning points that we get to, whether we're in a job, in a relationship, in an environment that no longer aligns with who we are being and who we are meant to become. And this is a story of that man. He reached a point in his life, he was in a crisis. He was incarcerated for drug trafficking. And he had to take a hard look at himself. And another part of my personal story is that when I had made some of the changes in my life, the environment and the people that I was around were no longer aligning with who I was becoming. And then that became a problem. And we all can relate to that. And the other part of that is that I had to actually come out and say much more clearly to the people I was around who I was being, and no longer hiding what I was feeling and what I was thinking and what I believed. And that takes courage, as we all know. So we are living in a time right now where we are collectively being called forward. Can you feel it? Yeah. We are living in a time where silence is no longer being silenced or tolerated. Old paradigms and mindsets are dismantling, maybe not as quickly as we'd like them to, or in a direction that they feel like we want them to go as of yet, but they are. We are giving ourselves permission to speak truth in a way that we haven't before. And this change that's happening all around us of what we're feeling is compelling us to act differently and be seen differently. Do you feel that too? Yes. So this is a new era of healing. This is a new era of healing that is in the archetype of identity. Who are we being? Who are we not being in the world today? I believe that we are all asking ourselves on some level some powerful questions. Who am I being? Who am I not being? What am I saying? What am I not saying? What am I doing? How am I acting? This healing comes by not just how honest we answer those questions, but by the actions we take in answering those questions in our life. I'm going to say that again. The healing comes by not just how we answer the questions, but what we do with the answers to those questions that we hear for ourselves. That's what's so imperative here. That is part of the healing paradigm, the healing identity that needs to happen for us, because we are the people. I have been in the transformational business for over 34 years. And before I came to do the work that I do now, which is helping people transform and redesign their lives, I was a hairdresser, and I was transforming people's hair. And let me tell you, I learned a whole lot with working with people. Not only what happens when somebody sits in front of a mirror and having to look at yourself, that was fascinating. But what was even more fascinating is that trying to get people to change their identity, that was always so challenging. And even when they wanted it, and even when they did it, they would end up back to the same way eventually. Not everybody, but a lot of people. That was fascinating for me to watch. And there were some people who would say to me, oh, I'm going to do it when I lose weight, when I do this. And when I retired, I was still doing some of those same hairstyles. We get so attached to who we are. And we get so attached to who we are because we believe it becomes who we are in that way. And one of the things that I learned in the area of transformation as I come to do the work I do today, is that when we are wanting to change, to transform from one way of being to another, it actually feels like we are losing a part of ourself, like we are losing a limb. Like it feels like a spiritual death. And yet at the same time, it's the very thing that we must brave ourselves through. And I say this not for us to judge ourselves in any way. I say this because it's part of the human condition. So I read a book by Carolyn Mace years ago, and the name of the book was Why People Don't Heal. And what I came to understand about that book is that what she shared is people don't heal because they do not want to have to change who they're being. They do not want to have to give up who they have been in order to get what's on the other side. And what's so fascinating about that is what's on the other side is everything, right? But what we're so afraid of is the unknown. And yet the unknown is where the potential lies. It's where the magic happens. It's where possibility is. Because the known world is what we know, and we're limited by what we know, and we're unlimited by what we don't know. It's such a paradox. There is also a new era of healing that is upon us, and has another powerful message, and it says, Me Too. It says, Me Too, which is paving the way for us to speak truth and for truth to be heard. Whether it's in a response to a trauma, whether it is in response to just a truth that needs to be heard, this is radical responsibility for us. Like I said, silence is no longer being silenced. Wake up, clean up, grow up, show up. What must be expressed or taken action as it pertains to the art, what needs to be expressed or taken action in the archetype of identity in your life today? Because here is the truth. It isn't about us. It's about what wants to come through and what we're not allowing to come through. And when we can get ourselves out of the way, that can happen. So we are in a position right now where the old paradigm of how we've been holding ourselves, even an identity, is no longer going to serve us as we move forward. And this is one thing that I know that everybody here probably believes, is that we are a human being having a spiritual experience, right? No, we are a spiritual being having a human experience, right? That's how it goes. And so if we know and believe that we are a spiritual being, then what we know is that we are pure love, and that everything is possible, that what we do is about our spiritualness of our life. And so the old paradigm of that we're not enough, that I don't value myself enough, that I don't have enough of self-esteem, is just not where this is going. You know, we know that that's not the truth. And it's time for us to act as if we know that that's not true, because it is not true for us. So what was so compelling about this man's story that I was listening to was that he was his own self-examination of who he was being and who he was not being in his life, and how he wanted to change that legacy for himself and for his son. And in changing that, he started these 2 nonprofits while he was in prison. And that he created this program of radical responsibility afterwards. That's what was so compelling for me about this story. And the thing is that everybody's expression comes up differently. You know, not everybody's going to have a nonprofit, not everybody is going to create a program, but it's all relative to each of us and to what it is that we're doing and who we're being in our life. That's the important message here, that it's all relative. There is nothing that is smaller or greater than the other, because in the eyes of spirit, it is all the same. We're doing our work. We're showing up. We're being who we are, know that we are here to be, and how Spirit wants to work through us. So I ask you, what are you holding inside? What talent do you have that you're not showing? What shadow do you need to bring to light? Because it isn't only just what we keep hidden because we're afraid of other people to see, because it may be something that may not, that we may feel shame about, but it's also how we're holding our golden light inside. And that's powerful right there, because when we hold ourselves hidden and in shadow, we are holding that golden shadow as well. So what choices do you need to make to find your truth and align with your core identity? What do you need to say? Who do you need to be? What light is trapped inside you? Where do you need to take radical responsibility? So the message here is about being more of you, not because you're not enough, but because you're more than enough. And it's already inside of you, and it's needing to be brought forth now. Because we are one nation under pressure, and we are struggling to be one nation under God. Thank you.
So when I spoke about a month ago, I didn't speak as long as James does, and the whole band was like out there, and they came running and going, "You didn't speak long enough." But you did, and it was beautiful, and thank you. And remember that her class starts in June. It's 3 Mondays, the 3rd, the 10th, and the 17th, and you can sign up in the courtyard or online, I believe. So check that out. And then out in the courtyard, we have 2 tables with cards. There's a table for Claire and a table for Louise, and you can go out and sign cards for them. So make sure that you do that. Okay. Pull ourselves together here. So as we move into the time for our offering, we know that if we only give, we become limited. And if we only receive, we also become limited. And as we open up to the flow, that dissolves all those limitations. So as you give today in love, we receive with open hearts, because we know that your support is what allows us to continue to give to you, and all our blessings continue in a never-ending circle. So let's embody the words of our offertory prayer together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God.
We got to get in the house. Ooh, take a breath. Ooh, out there playing around. Yeah. Oh, this is Spiritual Life Center. Okay.
Hey, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. You can say at Spiritual Life Center.
Okay.
We know what it means. But wait a minute. But wait. Just a minute, Carol.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right.
I want to introduce everybody that's on the platform. So, several of these beautiful faces you will recognize from being in the choir at your left. We have David DeMario and Don Sykes singing some bass, holding down some bass. On tenor, we have Tom Chesko and Harvey McDaniels. And then we have Cindy, the lovely Cindy. She sings in our choir. And then there's a beautiful face you haven't seen for a while. The last time she was at Spiritual Life Center was when we were at the PAC. Ifa Modupe. Woo! I ran into her at the Ricky Byers concert, and she graciously accepted my invitation to come and sing today. And I hope we'll see some more of her. And then Then we've got Larry. And the lovely Mary Rupp. on soprano. And Carol Manson in the house.
Hey, hey, hey. You have to listen to my mom. I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Is that okay? Let's go for you. I said I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking. I'm gonna keep on talking. I'm gonna build a brand new world.
One, two, three.
I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Hey, turn me around. Oh, turn me around. I ain't gonna let nobody. I'm gonna keep on walking. Keep on talking, gonna build a brand new world. I ain't gonna let my past turn me around. Oh, yeah, I ain't gonna let my past turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking. I'm gonna build a brand new world. I ain't gonna let my challenge turn me around. Oh, turn me around. Hey, turn me around. I ain't gonna let my challenge. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking. I'm gonna build a brand new world. I ain't gonna let my illusions turn me around. Turn me around. Turn me around. I ain't gonna let my illusions turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking. Yeah. I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Oh, turn me around. Hey, turn me around. I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking. Hey, keep on walking. I'm gonna build a brand new world.
I stood up just a little too soon there, Carol. Just a little too soon. So this song is a very, very old song, and most of us probably recognize it as part of a soundtrack to a revolution, civil rights. But at its core, this song is a personal freedom song, and you could add just about any word you want to it. So that's what we're going to do. You might do that all by yourself. You might do that in a small group. You might do that right here, right now. And you might not just be able to pick up a guitar like Russell or have a band to accompany you. So you're just going to have to accompany yourself.
I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Oh, turn me around. Oh, turn me around. I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking. I'm gonna build a brand new world. I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Yeah, turn me around. I ain't gonna let nobody. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking. I'm gonna build a brand new world. I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Turn me around. I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking. Keep on talking. I'm gonna build a brand new world. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking. I'm gonna build a brand new world. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking. I'm gonna build a brand new world.
Is there something beyond a super home run? You know, each of us is a fragile miracle, and we are all evidence of divine creation and divine grace. We are each unique, unrepeatable gifts to the world. We are proof of divine love. And so we who are the gifts of creation bless this offering, these gifts given in love. And let us join in saying our peace song.